This world consists of two sorts of people: those who are acted upon and those who act. My father, a stonemason named John Romoyle, was always one to act. He and my mother, Philippa, were converted due to an article published by an enemy of the church, which so much aroused his curiosity that he determined to learn more.
But rest assured, those accusations are false. I bear testimony to...
They agreed to baptism on the very night they were taught the gospel. On April 11th, 1856, the family left Plymouth, England, and heeded the call, "Come to Zion." After arriving in Boston, they rode by rail to Iowa City, where Father hoped to purchase a wagon to cross the plains to Salt Lake. When he learned there were none to be had, a different mode of travel was presented. They became part of the Ellsworth Handcart Company, the first handcart company to attempt the trek. From the beginning, it was a perilous journey.
Thursday, June 26, 1856. Travelled about 1 mile. It was very hot. Only a half pound of flour allowed per head each day. With so much hunger, death soon joined our trek. The young and the feeble were the first to succumb. July 26, 1856. A flash of lightning killed Henry Walker as he held the bar of his handcart. His body was carried about 2 miles to camp and buried there. As I saw him lying dead, I thought of his words at prayer meeting 2 or 3 days previous. He had said, "I would rather die with my hands a hold to my cart, with my face toward Zion, than to falter and turn out by the wayside."
My father was a great strength to the entire company.
Stephen, help the others!
He was so concerned about imposing on others, he refused to let anyone else push or pull his cart. On September 26, 1856, they finally entered the Salt Lake Valley. For all those who saw the ragged state of the company, it was easily apparent how perilous the crossing had been. In all, 16 persons in the company had died. One of Brigham Young's counselors, Jedediah M. Grant, wept as he looked at Father's hands, still clutching the bar of his cart and looking for all the world like the claws of a bird. The Perpetual Immigration Fund allowed me, James Moyle, to come to the Salt Lake Valley earlier. Father had taught me the masonry trade, and I had been working and saving to bring my family to America. Life in Zion agreed well with my father. who quickly recovered and set about trying to find a place to settle. After earnest prayer, he chose 160 acres in what later became Alpine Utah, which he carved out of the wilderness despite constant threats from cougars, bears, and hostile Indians. A great change was about to take place in Father's life, as President Young called him to be a stonemason on the Salt Lake Temple.
John, the temple site is over 22 miles away. We need the horse for the farm work. How are you ever going to get back and forth? Are you going to walk?
I'm married well, my love. You are brilliant.
He knew the Lord provides a way to accomplish the things he asks, and my father never was one to make excuses. Though he was partially compensated for his efforts, he approached the task with unusual dedication and zeal, even for John Romoyle. On Mondays, he would rise at 2 in the morning in order to arrive at the temple site by 8 o'clock with the other workers. I was newly married and living in Salt Lake. Father would stay with us during the week, then begin his journey on when he had completed his work on Friday evening. He would arrive home about midnight. Saturday was his only day to farm and do all the chores needed to be done on 160 acres. This was his life. Week after week, month after month, and soon, year after year. Until he had done so for almost 20 years. Then one day, my father did something that would forever change his life.
It's agreed then.
Her name was Old Lindy, and she came from a herd on Antelope Island. She was the first cow the family ever owned, a cow that turned out to be more than anyone had bargained for. Father had been working on the temple's beautiful circular staircases when he came home early one evening to help the family with chores.
Ooh, Lynn. Let's be minded now.
Perhaps Father was impatient with her, or maybe old Lindy was just having a bad day. Lindy's kick caused a terrible compound fracture, with bone breaking through the skin. The only option was to amputate. His leg was cut off just below the knee with a buck saw. But as terrible as the amputation was, the worst fear was infection. Spring came, but the infection never did. When the leg began to heal, Father took a piece of birch wood and made a peg leg with an ingenious articulating ankle. He carved a little bowl in it and lined the inside with a piece of leather. He made straps to fit around his waist and hold the leg in place. When he was able, he put it on and, despite the pain, walked around the house with that homemade leg. Eventually, he made it around the yard, and then the entire farm.
John, what are you doing?
I'm packing.
To go where?
To Salt Lake?
Oh, John, why do you have to go to Salt Lake?
I don't recall being released as a stonemason, do you?
Oh, my dear sweet husband, there is work enough to do in the kingdom here. You're only a stonecutter. I'm sure the Lord has plenty of people in Salt Lake to carry on with that calling.
But 'tis my calling. And callings are seldom convenient, are they, my love?
For many, the loss of a limb would signify the loss of their life. But not for John Romoyle. As long as he could breathe, he would continue to chisel away at the obstacles set before him. In 1885, John Romoyle once again chose to act and limped the 22 miles to the Salt Lake Temple, and as a 77-year-old man climbed 100 feet of scaffolding and continued his duty as a stonemason on the Salt Lake Temple. There are two sorts of people on this earth. I watched my father for many years. He was the sort that acted.
Father! I love you, Father.
John Romoyle never saw the completion of the temple. He died in 1889, 4 years before its dedication. But his handiwork, carved high on the east wall and penned by a prophet centuries earlier, continues to be seen by millions. John Romoyle wasn't just carving words. He was setting in stone what it was that motivated him to act. Holiness to the Lord.